Hello and welcome to the Code Maven YouTube channel and to our meeting, especially for the people who arrive to the meeting and are going to listen to me live. If you do that, feel free to ask questions either by your voice or in the chat room as you like. If you are watching the video on YouTube, then please, if you like the video, then please like it and follow the channel so you'll get notified on new videos. My name is Gabor Szabo. I teach programming Python and Rust in companies, and I also teach Python at the Weizmann Institute of Science. And in that course, and this it's relevant to this presentation, in this course, I'm teaching Python, but because I want people to be able to use Git and especially GitHub. First, I have this presentation about a few hours of presentation about GitHub and creating a website, starting with creating a website and learning Markdown, because that's part of the idea. And so this video is basically, this presentation is basically the first part of the first session of that course. No Python, no programming here, only creating a website on GitHub, basically using Markdown. I'm going to share the screen now. If I find the button, I always search for it, even though it's big and green. And what you can see now, hopefully, is the location of my website that doesn't exist. So you can see a 404 page. And this is the address. And unfortunately, you can't probably see it because the fonts are too small, and I couldn't yet figure out how to use a magnifying glass to show this. So instead of that, I'm just going to copy paste it here. I'm also going to put it in the chat room, actually, for those who would like to follow it later on. So this is the address of my website that I'm going to build now. As you can see, this subgub at the beginning is basically my username, and then it says .github.io. Before I actually build this, and now if I reload it, if you visit this page, you won't see anything there. I'm going to give you a few examples. Here is one of the repositories that we use for the course. This one was almost a year ago when we started, and each student then creates a website for herself, himself, and you can visit this page. I'm also going to put this in the share, and I'm going to put it here as well, just in case later on I'm going to share it. I don't need this ending of it, but basically you can find here examples of that people built who didn't have any experience, so just to get some ideas. Especially I'm going to show you one of them, Mazal Faraj, because I liked her website. Okay, so this is a very nice website. I think she worked on it, I don't know, a few hours, and that's it. And then there are others that use various other things. I am going to show you another. So this is, I'm sharing her link here, and both in the chat room, and I'm going to show it here. So here again, you can see Mazalik apparently is her username in GitHub, and then github.io is this the address. And the last example I would like to show now is this one, which is the website that where I'm going to post also this video besides YouTube. This is the website that I recently moved over all my Git-related content. And this one, so you can see this is a totally different address, git.codemaven.com. So CodeMaven is my domain, and I just mapped it to be served from GitHub pages. So the behind the scene is basically the same, but because I have a domain, I could map it there. So what we are going to learn now is how to create a website, and then it can be quite easily mapped if you have a domain name. Then you can pick a host name or the full domain, you can host it there. This one is actually using MD Books in order to generate it, not the default one that I'm going to show you, but at the end, it doesn't really matter. So Did I share that one? Yeah. Okay. So what do we need in order to build this page? We're going to go to github.com. Obviously, you need, and I'm going to copy this address because it's easier for me to copy paste, but then I'm just explaining it. So you already need to have an account there, of course. And if you're creating an account now, this is the first time, then create one that is independent of everything else. So it's now if you're one of my students at the Weizmann Institute, then just it doesn't have to be connected neither to the institute nor to the course. If you work at some employee, it doesn't have to be connected to that employee. It's going to be yours. And then you can use it for various things, projects, or as you work. It doesn't really matter. It should be probably yours. So mine is SubGub, and I'm using it for all kind of things. That's my username. Now you have your user, then you create a new repository. So here on this plus, I can click new repository, and the name of the repository for this specific example that I'm showing needs to be this address. So your username.github.io, which is going to become the address of your website. If you don't do this, okay, I'm actually, yeah. If you don't do this, then you'll have you can also create a website, but it won't have this address. No, basically that's the point. So your default homepage, your default page on GitHub is your username.github.io, and then you need to create a repository with that same name. So you can see that it's my username is here, and then I repeat it. The repository doesn't need to be public, but there's no real point on hiding it and making it private, because at the end the content is going to be shown to the everyone, so why not? And especially if you'd like to show me what you did and you'd like to get input, then make it public. And then especially if you are one of my students, then make sure it's public so you can get a grade for that. I started with adding the README file just to have some content in this repository. And I can also add the git ignore, it doesn't really matter for now. I can add the license, it doesn't really matter for now. And I create the repository. Now, just by creating this specific repository, you can immediately click on actions, and you can see that it started to do something. It's a yellowish, brownish icon here, and here on the right-hand side, it says queued. So because this is the name of the repository, this specific repository, it already immediately started to build your website. GitHub created that Markdown, that README file, and using that README file, it's going to create a website, a very simple one, very simple content, but a README file. Now it takes some time to build it, and sometimes it doesn't update immediately, but by now you can see it's now green, and it took 37 seconds, so I spoke more than that, apparently, to build the website. Now, under actions, you can see this progress. So you will know when the website was built, or if there is some error, you will know this. And luckily, right now, it was generated without a problem. Sometimes when I show this content, when I explain this, then GitHub is exactly at that time, it's broken. And then there are some failures. Or there could be also things that maybe we broke as we create the page. It's very unlikely, actually. So most likely, if there is an error here in these simple cases, it's most likely some problem with the system of GitHub, and then you just need to wait to be fixed. So anyway, this created and deployed the website. So if I go back to this URL, this tab where I had this page, and reload it by pressing Ctrl+R, then you will see the content of the website. So basically that's it. Now we have the website. I don't need anything more. Well, you probably want to improve it a little bit so it will look a little bit better. But that's what we are going to see now. So we have a repository somewhere in one of them. Okay, this is the repository, Git repository, and then we are going to build a website. Now, what I didn't explain here yet, basically, but I probably should, that what is Git and what is GitHub. So a few words about that. Git is one of the or the de facto standard version control tool these days. What is a version control tool? When you create a basically everyone uses some kind of versioning. Okay, even if you don't use a version control tool, sometimes you create a document and then you send it to someone and then you save it and change the name of the file, create a copy of the file and add the date to it or the name of the person you send to that file. And then you keep working on the original file and then send it to someone else and then create a copy again with a new date. Basically, you're doing version control for your file. Git just provides a much better tooling for this, a standardized way to do this. And GitHub is a cloud-based website that allows you to host these Git projects, basically, or Git-based projects. And each one of these projects is called a repository. So if we go back to the main page of this repository by clicking on the address at the top, then you can see here that it has this README MD file that was created by the system. It also says that there was one commit, one change saved, and you can see the history of it. Now, if you'd like to make some improvement, we can edit it on the website. And in this video, in this presentation, and in this video, we won't use anything else. You don't need anything on your computer besides this browser that we are already using. So you can click here on this pencil thing that will allow you to edit the file. And this is what you have here. This was the default text there. Now I can change this. I can change this and say, let's say, welcome. And then I can put here some text here, just to show you some text here. And I can even go further and use various of the Markdown syntaxes. And I'll tell you in a second or so what is Markdown. But let's say I put here I enlarge the font so it's going to be easier to see. Dot, and then I can put here names of, I don't know, fruits. Okay, so as I edit, it keeps giving me this star, but I don't need any more. And I'm going to add 3 lines, and here I'm going to put 2 hash marks and say, actually here I will put 2, and I say fruits. And here I'm going to say something else. What shall I put here? Animals. And then here I say 1 cat, 2. You see, I pressed enter, it automatically gave me the number 2. Dog, snake. I don't see the rest of it. Crab. Okay. So far, I made some changes, but now I have to save these changes. And the saving is on this system is called committing a change. So here on the right-hand side, you can see this big green button, commit changes. I click on it. It offers me another window where when I can explain what were my changes in one sentence and then in more details. So it's a good idea when you're working on a bigger project to have these explanations. In this case, I don't have much to explain. I updated the README MD. Okay, so I click here on this green button again, on this other green button. This will actually do the commit. And basically, this saved my changes. Now, if I click on the actions, you can see that it immediately picked up the changes and started to build the website. Okay, it now says it's in progress. Earlier, you saw it was in queue and it was a smaller dot here. Now it's yellowish and moving, whatever you can see. You'll learn the icons that you can see. It just makes you earlier, okay, a couple of years ago, this you didn't see this display. So we used to make some changes, and we weren't clear when it's going to be ready. So we went to the website and kept reloading it, and then we got annoyed because it took too long. As you can see, last time it took 37 seconds to build the whole thing, and maybe there was some waiting time at the beginning. Now it took 41 seconds. It all depends how busy the system is. I mean, the system of GitHub. If I go back to the page where my website is, and I reload it, then you will see that things changed. So it displays my name. This is somehow the default. We can get rid of it later, but it displays my name without me telling it much. And then, but you can now see the content nicely formatted that we wrote. Actually, before we go further, let me go to just one website. Okay, so let's even go to google.com. Okay, just a generic website or whatever. If I click on view page source, then you will see this. Well, what can I say? It's totally meaningless to most of us, right? So this is actually HTML, and then there is some JavaScript code here, but this is what generates this website. And this is what is behind the scene, and a very simple thing, very simple website at the end. I mean, the view is very simple, but that's behind it. Now, we probably don't want to write that kind of stuff in order to create your page. I can even go back. It's a better example. I can go back to this web page of Mazal and see how it looks like behind the scene. View source. So here too, I enlarge it to see. You can see there is lots of this HTML tags and whatnot, and you probably don't want to deal with this yourself. You don't want to. You just want to write the content, upload an image, write your content, and so on. So what happens here is that we can write in in a language called Markdown. This is what we did here. So this editing that I did, the stars and then the numbering, this is basically a syntax which is called Markdown. And then there is a tool that takes that format and generates the HTML. So if we go to the new website and I click view source, then you can see that this too has all kind of HTML in there. Okay, it's not that complex as the other websites, not yet, but it already has some HTML here. And this HTML was generated by that tool based on the text I typed in. So the tool which is used by GitHub to generate these pages is called Jekyll. Jekyll, not and hide, but Jekyll SSG. It's the it's a static site generator. Okay, so the generic name of these things is static site generator, or SSG. Okay, I'll copy the name here so it's going to be easier for everyone to understand what I'm talking about. I'm also putting it here to have notes. So this is one of the hundreds or maybe thousands of tools that allow you to take some simple format, the Markdown format that we used, and generate a website from it. And GitHub picked specifically this tool, which is called Jekyll, which is written in Ruby, the Ruby programming language, which doesn't really matter for us, but just so you know. So they used it as the default tool to generate the websites from the Markdown. We can change that if you can change it if you like, but this is the default tool. Okay. So what we saw here so far is that we could put titles. I go back actually to the page, to the source, so we can see it. If I clicked on the code and I click on the edit button, because I'm going to change it anyway. So a hash mark and then some text is going to be the title of the page. Okay, capital letters here or big letters. Okay, relatively big letters. Okay, then something which has two hash marks is a subtitle. You can see the result is slightly smaller letters. I put here some text. It will be just displayed as some text. What some people mentioned that I should emphasize that if I just type in a second line, it won't actually show as a separate line. And this is going to be the third line. Okay, we'll see that basically these are separate paragraphs, and this is going to show up as a single line. Okay, the three dashes became a horizontal line here. Apparently, it also puts this thin lines under the title. Okay, nice. The stars became just list items. Okay, nothing very fancy. And the numbering became these numbers. Now, you might think that this was 1, 2, 3, 4 because I typed it 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's sort of right. But the question, what happens if I now remove this to dog? Now it left me with 1, 3, 4. And so let's see what happens if I save it now. Okay, so let's go ahead because I really don't know. So I go ahead and commit my changes. Again, I'd say just update README file. Actually, show two lines without empty line. Okay, whatever. So I'm just showing you that it might be useful to add a message. And again, what happens if I click on the actions? You can see that it's being queued right now and it's going to be built soon. While I'm waiting for that, I would like to go back to the, you can go either here at the top or here to on the code part to go back to the home page of this repository, to the main page. What I wanted to show you is that now you can, actually maybe I need to, no. I'm looking for something, but I don't see it right now. Okay, interesting. You can see it was so large that it didn't show me the number of commits. Here, if I put the mouse over it, then it shows 3 commits. But if I reduce the font a little bit, then it will show here also in writing that it's 3 commits. So for up till now, we made 3 basically commits to the repository, 3 changes. Well, the first one was the creation of the file, and then 2 of the changes I made. I can click here and see the history of my changes. I can even click here on this is the ID of the change, and then I can see what changed. So you can see that I removed this line and then added all these lines. This was the previous change I made. I click on here, I can see then I added these lines and I removed the dog. Okay, so this is how we can see the history of our changes. And it might be not that important for the creation of the website when you are working alone, but when you go to a project, when you start working on a project with multiple people, then it's good, it's very useful to see all the history of all the changes, who made the changes, what were the changes. Then these explanations, these lines will become even more useful because it will give you a quick hint of what that change was actually, or what was supposed to be. Why was that made? Okay, so I go back to the actions just to make sure that it finished. And as you can see, this time it was 39 seconds. So it changes various numbers. Go back to the website and I reload it. And let's see what happens to the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. So the one, now it became 1, 2, 3. So despite the fact that in the file there was 1, what was there? I don't remember. in the file, if I edit the file, I think it was 134 because I removed the 2, but on the website it shows me 123, which is basically the right thing to do, despite the mistake I made. I usually do actually just replace it by ones. Okay, all of them are number ones, and then it doesn't matter if I rearrange the things. It won't confuse me here that I have some numbering here, and then the generated page has some different numbering. So that's one thing. The other thing we did is that we put here 2 lines and then the third line after an empty row. And if you go back to the website, you can see that the first 2 lines are on 1 line. And this is a separate line. So this is how you can have separate lines, basically. Now, Markdown is a generic language that can be used in various places, in a lot of places. So that's why it's very useful, because it's used in various parts of GitHub as well, and all kind of other things. And it has flavors. So there's a default language called Markdown, but there is also a GitHub flavored Markdown. I search for it, and then I'm going to click the link. So this is the specification, the definition of the GitHub flavored Markdown language. And you can read it, of course. You can search for various things. You can see the explanations of how to do various things, the numbering here you can see, and then you can have sublists or whatever. Okay, lots of things. It's way simpler than doing HTML, but it's still, there is stuff to learn. So where is my editor now? Oh no, I put it here, and I wanted to put the link also here to save it. So I'm going to add it to the below the video. They're going to have a link to my website on the Git website, and there we're going to have this information as well listed. So what else shall I show you? There are a couple of other things that might be interesting. By the way, feel free to those people who are present. They have the advantage of they can ask questions. So just feel free to even write in the chat things that you would like to see how to do on GitHub pages. Okay, and with Markdown. Couple of things that we might want to do while you're thinking about it. One of them is creating a link. So for example, I have this page, right? I said that on GitHub Code Maven, that's where I have all the articles, and this video is going to be here as well. So I'm going to put here a link to Git Maven. This is going to be the text of the link, and it's in between square brackets, and then in between regular parentheses, I put in the link where this page should go. Okay. Okay, so there is this link. That's one thing. Another thing is going to be some picture that we might want to add. So I'm going to answer that question in a bit that I saw. I just would like to finish this one. So let's look for some animal. What kind of animal do we like now? I don't know what kind of animal shall I like now this time. A big elephant. Okay, let's find images. Okay, so I have images. I can click on one of them, view file. Hopefully this will work. Yeah, so at the top you can see this is an image, real image. I take the image, link of the image, and I put it in here. Exclamation mark, then some name. Okay, so this is a big animal, okay? And then, so it looks very much like a link with a square bracket, some text in the parentheses, the address of this page where the image is, but there is an exclamation mark at the beginning. So I commit the changes, add link and image, I explain it, and I clicked already on the green button, and so it's going to be there. Now the action is building. Now, while it's building, I try to answer that question. So how does GitHub know that we are creating GitHub pages? Isn't it just normal repo with a README-MD? Well, yes and no. In the configuration of every repository, okay, in the settings of every repository, there is a place which is called pages. And in these pages, you can say whether it's being deployed, how is it being created. So let me create another repository actually to see how it really works. So just I'll create a repository called new, where is this? Experimental repo, okay? I add the README file and I edit. Okay, so let's see what happens with this one. Actually, the fun thing about this presentation is that I did it a couple of times already, and every time is a little different, partially because GitHub changes the UI and the features and what's so. So I got to the settings, I got to the pages, and here it says deploy from branch. And it says none. So this basically is the setting when it's turned off, when it's not GitHub pages. And if I go back to the one that I was editing, in this one it says deploy from branch, and it says from the main branch and from the root folder. And there it will find the README-MD file. Okay. So the difference is basically that because of the name of this repository, because it has this special name, because of this, it automatically configured it to be generated to generate the GitHub pages. Okay, we can also change this one. Okay, actually, let me show you. So I can also change this one to saying, okay, from the main branch. This repo only has a main branch and the root, and I can save it. And then it will also generate a GitHub page. You can see it's building. And then I'm going to show you in a bit what the result is. In the meantime, the other one already finished building. Okay, hopefully, actions. Go back, Control R. So you can see that there is this link to Git Maven. If I click on it, then I get to Git Maven. So this is how I add the link. And this is the big elephant here. Okay. Now we could also upload an image. So we could download this file, or you can have a file on your in your folder, and then you can upload it to your repository, and then you can serve it from the repository. How can you do this? Well, if you click here let's first create a new page. Okay. So I would like just to create a new page. So this is the main page, the README-MD, but we can have more pages. So let's create a new file, which is going to be called other.md, because I don't have better idea how to call it. Okay, and I put here just, this is the title of the other page. Okay, nothing very interesting. I click on this one, and then again, I commit it. Okay, so now it's going to generate it, and we will see where it goes. In the meantime, we can go back to where we were with the other one. Okay, so this one is the experimental repo. I copy the name so I won't make a typo there. Okay, so this is called, in my user, is called experimental repo. A random, and basically any arbitrary name there, any repository. And then I can go to my real website add this name here, /experimental repo. And this is where you can see the content of that site. So here, this has nothing in there, only this README file with nothing besides the name, but you can see its content under the same website, under the same address, with the name of the repository, the specific repository added here. So I'm going to put it here, and I'm probably going to give some explanation. I'm also adding it here just in case you would like to see it. Okay, if yeah, I'm going to get there too, but here we got back actions. This was already built, so the other page is also here, so I can go and type in other, and now you can see the other page. So it is an address inside my repository. Okay, you can see it's very similar. Both are very similar. One is just a page inside my main repository, and the other one is just another random repository. So that's it, I think. One final thing, probably two final things I would like to show. One of them is, let's go back to this other website, the git.codemaven.com. So you might ask how does this work, that I have this other address. So this one, is hosted in a repository which is actually has the same name as the website. It doesn't need to be, okay? I only use the same name because it's easier for me. What is important is that it also configured to use to create pages. So I go to the pages configuration of it. But instead of, and I show the other one as well, so we can see both and they can compare the two. So this experimental thing, and also my default page, says deploy from branch, and then it says where to deploy from. This means basically to use the default Jekyll processor, okay? And it has all kind of things. On this website, it says instead of from the deploy branch, it has use GitHub Actions. So actually, you saw that the other one also is using GitHub Actions behind the scene, but for historical reason, it says deploy from branch. And there are all kind of other things as well, but this is what happens there. So it uses Jekyll. This one uses another processor, which I configured, which is the MD book processor, Markdown book-based MD book it's called. And you can go see the source code and how it's generated. We don't go into that because it's way beyond our need. What is relevant, what is interesting, what might be interesting to you is that if you have a domain name, you can you need to map your domain name to GitHub pages, so the world will know to arrive to GitHub pages, and you need to tell that this specific repository is the one that should be served when someone arrives to this address. So the pages generated from the Git code Maven should be served when someone arrives to this address. And that's it. And then you can also say that use HTTPS, so it will be a secure address. This is only nice to have. It's really not a requirement to my students at the institute or anyone else. You need to buy a domain name or basically rent a domain name in order to have this. But then instead of having the GitHub address, the GitHub IO address, you will have your own address, which means that if a year from now you decide that you would like to move it to some other service and you move from GitHub pages to some other place because your needs are beyond what GitHub can provide you, then you can just move this address to this other place and no one really needs to know that you moved to some other place, because the address, this git.codemaven.com will remain the same. It will just point to a different service, this different server. So it has that advantage. That's it. Any questions? Any issue that you would like me to show? If not, then I finish this as usual by changing the website. So because I am sure that I'm going to need to use this. Shall I do this? No, I won't do this. I'll do it. Sorry, I think that I need to continue this presentation later on, but I will need to, I do change I'm going to change this address. So because I'm going to use, I might be able to use, I might need to use this address again to do a similar demonstration. I really like to move these repositories to some other name, so it will remain for you, that you will be able to look at the repository, but it won't take up this address. So what I do now is I rename this repository. So I come to this repository, I go to the settings again, I say rename it to GitHub pages, and I never remember how to call it, so I need to find how my other domains are called. So repositories, other repositories are called, sorry. GitHub here, okay. So this was another demo I did, and this is how where I saved this. So I'm going to rename it to this one, just with the current date. So the date is March, well, for us, okay, not for the people in New Zealand. For us, it's March, it's the 2nd March, and I click on rename, and I just need to save this. I'll click on rename. So what now happens is that if I go back to the website, well, I have to wait till it's being processed, right? So it's now generating the website, but because the name of the repository is not the one that I told you to use, not the default one, okay? So not the one that is called myusername.github.io. Because of that, this website is going to disappear, okay? Because I removed the repository from behind it. So I just need to wait till the processing is finished. Yeah, I know, from New Zealand, you use advanced technology, and so for you it's already the 3rd of March. Well, how is the future? So it's working here. If you were, okay, it's done. Okay, so if I go back to the website and reload it, now it's again gone. But if I put here the address, the new address, okay, so this GitHub pages demo of 2nd of March, and I load that page, that's where you can find the page. So you can find it, it's always there, even if I don't have the main website. And so also this experimental one, the one that we use, the experimental, I'm going to remove this one actually, but the other one will stay. So also this one is here. So I put the address of this new website here, and I'm also going to put it here, and I'm going to link to the repository as well. So where is the repository? Let me find the repository. This one. This is the repository. This is where it's being, where I saved it, and I think that's it. So more than an hour. Yeah, I know. One thing that I really should have shown you is how to upload the file. Okay, I'll still show this. So if you have an image, okay. The problem with this elephant and the way we added it is that we are loading it from a different website. So if the owner of that website decides to remove the elephant, remove this image, then our website will be broken because it will have an image. Oh, okay, there is another question. I'll answer that one as well. But let me finish with the elephant. So if they remove the elephant, the image from their website, then my website is going to be broken because it will show that there is a place for an image, but it's gone. Worse than that, if they replace the elephant with something that I really don't want to show on my website, okay, then I won't until I actually look at the page. So it automatically will start using the new image. Okay, I won't have control over it. So it's much better to put. And besides, you have some copyright issues. Okay, so that's another thing. But let's say you fix the copyright issues. Okay, who owns the image? So, but if you have your own images, okay, whatever that you would like to show, then what you can do is you have it on your computer, and then you come here, click on plus, upload files, then it will open a file selector, and then you can select the file, upload the file, and just make it's much better if the file name has only Latin letters and numbers like this, so you won't use spaces, you won't use Hebrew or Arabic or whatever Korean letters, because it's much harder to have the links. So makes the file names simple, and then you can just the same way you can embed the image, but now it's embedded from your website, so you have full control over the image, and it won't disappear suddenly. Okay, so that's how you can add the image. Now there was a question: how can I remove the username link at the top? So that needs a slightly longer answer, but I should have done this as well. So I'm going to do that, show it now. Actually, I need to cheat a little bit because I never remember how to do this, but it's not a big issue. So I have another website which is called, I think it's called github.subgad.com, which is a very default-ish website on GitHub, and I use it primarily to play around with this. And it is actually on, and here, yeah, it is on github.com, subgab, and it's called real. This is the repository, okay? I'll put the link here so you can find it as well if you really want. This is the repository of that website. And the interesting part is this one, that we have this config file where I can put all kinds of configurations. So the fact that it showed up slightly, it was a slightly better looking website, GitHub subgab.com. Okay, so it has these colors and whatever, is because it uses the Jekyll theme Cayman. There are various themes that you can use, and then you can do whatever you like. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, and it's _config YAML. So I go back to the repository, if I can find it, and I create the file. Create new file. Put this here, GitHub repo, GitHub page, demo GitHub page, and _ config.yml. YML or YAML is a format, okay, that has key value pairs. And they are using this for configuration. I commit the changes, commit them really, and then we wait. Okay, so this allows me one part of the configuration, still using the default Jekyll generator. Other things that maybe I have here, I'm not sure. Yes, in the assets, I can also add more style sheets, and you can read about, you can create your own template, so how the web page looks. That involves a lot more understanding of HTML, but you will learn it with time. Okay, so you can find all kind of other things like this. Actually, I think I even had some slides for this, which I don't remember where I put now. So I won't be able to show. Let's try to find them. Slides, CodeMaven, GitHub pages. I think originally I think, yes, I wanted to use these slides and I forgot about them to go over all the parts. So I'll put the link to the slides here. So in case you will still want to go over them, because, oh, this should be the address, yes. So I'm going to put here the address. These are the slides that I forgot to use now today. Okay, lovely. Anyway, if I go over the slides, this is created with MD Book. And these are some more Markdown things I wanted to show you, that some of them I didn't explain. Here explanations about the layout and a little bit more about themes. The configuration file I just used. You can have these titles per each page. Add JavaScript code. But what I'm looking for is, this one, the last page, I think. Some examples. So here, these are mostly my websites, not all of them, that use static websites, basically. They are somehow generated. Most of them are not by Jekyll, but by various tools I built. So for that, you need the programming knowledge. One of the best ones is this one, or I think the best ones is a translator for the Ladino language. Okay, so you type in Ladino and it will translate to all kind of other languages, or you can type in some other language and then it will translate it to Ladino and so on. So these are examples. You can find various examples in various programming languages, and I need to update this because things have changed since I created this this page. So what we were doing here is we were trying to look at this one. Yes, okay. So you can see now that what you asked for, how can I remove the username link on the top? Well, I removed it with that configuration. There are all kind of other configurations that you can do, and you'll have to play around, basically. Any other questions? If not, then, well, please, I'll share all this stuff. If you enjoyed the video or enjoyed the presentation, then please also check out the video later on and like it and follow my channel. So you will get other videos when I share them. If you watched the video and enjoyed it, then please click on the like button and also follow the channel to get notified when I have new videos. And if you'd like to join us in the live presentation, that would be even better. So thank you for watching, and thank you for being here especially, and thank you for your questions. And I'm finishing this video. Bye bye.